In this lesson, we're going to look at the continuity of a graph. Very simple definition here is a graph is continuous if it can be traced without lifting up your pencil. So looking at this first graph at the bottom, if I trace this graph, you can see that I'm tracing it without lifting up the pen or the pencil. So we refer to that graph as a continuous graph. Any graph that is not continuous is referred to as discontinuous, and then it has at least one point of discontinuity. We name those points of discontinuity by their x value. So if we take a look at this second graph here, I start tracing this graph and then we get to this open circle. So we have to move over the open circle. In this case, I have to jump up and hit this point that's up here and then continue tracing that graph. So this is a discontinuous graph and it has a point of discontinuity at x equal, and then we name that by the x value where we had to pick up our pencil, and that is here at A. Continuing over to the next graph, this is very similar. It just doesn't have that additional point. So I'm tracing this graph. I get to this open circle, this hole. We have to jump over it. So I have to pick up my pencil and then I can continue tracing. So again, I have a point of discontinuity at x equal A here. The next graph here, as I trace, we get to this open circle. So I would have to pick up my pencil. I also have to jump up to this other piece up here. So again, discontinuous with a point of discontinuity at x equals A. And then finally, this last one, I'm tracing this bottom branch, and then I have to pick up my pencil and trace the top branch. So this graph has an asymptote here at x equal A. So again, I have a point of discontinuity at x equals A. Each of these points of discontinuity can be classified as either removable or non-removable. So a removable point of discontinuity is one where I can redefine or change one single point. So on this first discontinuous graph, if we take this point and move it down and fill in the hole, then I would have a continuous graph here. So this is considered a removable discontinuity. On the second discontinuous graph, again, if we fill in this point right here, then I can trace right through that section there. So that's considered another removable point of discontinuity. So anytime you have a hole, that's going to be a removable point of discontinuity. A non-removable point of discontinuity is the last two types here. So both of these are non-removable. So this first one is the jump discontinuity, and then the second one is an infinite discontinuity or an asymptote discontinuity. So we want to be able to look at a graph and identify it as continuous or discontinuous. We also want to be able to look at those discontinuous graphs and classify the points of discontinuity as removable or non-removable. So looking at a couple of examples here, this first example, if we start to trace this graph, we can see that at this point we have to pick up our pencil and move. So this would be a discontinuous graph. It has a point of discontinuity at x equal -2, and that is a jump discontinuity, so this would be non-removable. Over on this second example, again, this is similar to the one we looked at before. I'm going to trace this bottom branch, then I have to pick up my pencil to trace the top branch. So again, this is going to be a discontinuous graph. If it's discontinuous, I need to be able to name its points of discontinuity. So this has a point of discontinuity at x equal 1. This would, again, would be an asymptote here. So that is an infinite discontinuity, and this would be non-removable. So hopefully that helps with the concepts of continuity and classifying points of discontinuity.